Okay, good.
Good.
Oh, so there was realization about 2 years ago.
Yes,
Hmm, great.
yes, I was at first at the beginning of pandemic. I stumbled upon, law of attraction and assumption, and I said, you know what? I want the perfect life. So I'm going to, and I want this, that, everything.
Hmm,
So suddenly, a year after, there was like nothing manifested completely. I saw movement, interesting movement, yet I didn't see the thing. So I was like, you know what? I trust God. I know He exists. And I'm going to do it my way. So that's like I'm listening to my intuition, to Him talking through me. At the time, I didn't see it like that. It was just that, yeah, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to stop listening to everybody talk. So I went within. I started to read Get the Power of Now, and at the same time, I started to meditate like for an hour daily in the mornings. And I started to have these experiences, in which, oh, I can feel the body vibrating and I can understand what Eckhart Tolle is talking about. It was like the third attempt in reading the book because at first, the first time I opened it, it was like, why do I have to do pauses? It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it.
hmm.
Boring. But in 2021, like the mind started to slow down
Hmm.
and I started to be the observer, you know. I'm I'm seeing how thoughts rise. That wasn't the language I used at the time. It was like, oh, there's a thought. And in meditation, I was completely in stillness, and suddenly I heard this voice of, you know what? You can be your hand right now. And I was like, oh, I can be my hand? And suddenly, spirit consciousness moved, and I was conscious and aware of being my hand. And I remember moving it and being the hand. And while in there, thoughts arose, and it was like, it feels wonderful. It's exciting. I am the hand. And I was like, wow, thoughts arise in me. Like they are happening, but they are not in the mind because I am not in the mind. I am not aware even of uh, any other part of the body but the hand.
Hmm.
And that meditation was like that big because suddenly it was like, yeah, and then you can be with the space and be the space around you.
Hmm.
And I was me and the space around me. And then I was me and all the objects in my room. And then it was like, and you are also one with every living being, you know? You are your dog. And I was like, really? Yeah, let me show you. And then I was inside my dog and I could see through his eyes.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, what's this? What's, you know? And I want to like to name it, but at the same time, I don't need to name it. And then all the non-dual teachings arrived to me. Funny because it was like a notification on YouTube on my phone.
Yeah.
And I started to consume that content. And I was like, yeah. And I love Muji's meditations and this and that. And life started to move as I was being, as whatever I was conscious of being, and that love for everything and everyone and circumstances and life and people I haven't met. But it was like I don't I don't know you. I'm not conscious of your character, but I know you are me.
Mm.
And it was so good and fine until the invitations start to arise. And I wasn't sure how to handle them. I was like, okay, like the mind is talking, but I'm going to drop down to the heart until that wasn't, I don't want to say enough, but I wasn't handling that word, handling the things like the good way or the right way because at subconscious level, there was still that process going on, and then it was projected outside, and I could see how uh, fears, things I had denied in the past, disowned, anger, and all those things that I hadn't worked on myself started to appear.
Mm-hmm.
I know they happen, so I can work in them and solve them, and that it's just a limitation. And sometimes it's easy, it's easy. Like, yeah, I can see through the illusion, and I'm okay. But sometimes when mostly with like I almost had them pinpointed the situations in which the the body is like, oh no, I'm too attached and I'm too attached. And it's like I can talk with it. I try to soothe it. I meditate. I listen to the story. I like, you are safe. It's nothing happening, you
Mm.
know? Let's just feel it. I'm here. But still, in for some things, it's like, yeah, you're here, but I'm attached. And I booked this session so I could, you know, what do I do with that? How do I handle those things in which the body mind is too attached and whatever love I give it, whatever insight I give it, it's
Yeah.
like I cannot bring it with me
Mm.
to open to you know.
Yes. Well, really, it's in the distinction between the personal mode and impersonal being, which you remain as. So when you're just resting as impersonal being, then the energy isn't any longer fueling the personal mode. It's just that the personal mode for all of us really has been habitual, because that's how we were conditioned from birth. But what you'll find is that just by changing the language and looking at what's arising impersonally, then you'll find that they will dissolve, because it's only through habit, and the habit of connecting your energy to those things. Because if we're dealing with them personally, even if we're doing things like dropping into the heart, if that's happening on a personal level, then the energy is still being attached to whatever the invitation is. So you can change the language. Could you give me an example of one? Could you give me an example of one of those invitations?
Like, it happens like I'm not worthy sometimes, or I'm not good enough for something.
Yes. Well, those mind programs are very common in the human realm, and it's really, we can look at them in different ways. We can look at it as a challenge, or we can look at it as something which isn't serving us, because they're actually, the invitations are designed to make us believe in the opposite of what is true. So if they're trying to tell you that you're not worthy, it's because you are worthy. But if you wake up to your true value and true worth, then you no longer divert your energy into fueling this, the invitations, because they're designed really to take you into those states. And lots of were you brought up as a Catholic? Yeah. So Catholicism is one of the religions which maintains the dualistic mode, because it's to do with the ideas of things like sin and guilt, and those programs are installed when we're really young, and then they can result in thoughts like, oh, I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving. But it's because they were installed through that religious programming. But it's quite an easy solution, really, which is just to change the language. So say there's an invitation being delivered which is trying to say the thought is, I'm not worthy. Then if we take delivery of it on a personal level, then the word I is present. So we're saying, oh, I'm not worthy. So we're consenting to the idea not only of not being worthy, but we're also consenting, without even realizing, to the idea of existing as an individual, because both those components are within that sentence. But if we just look at that invitation, so that invitation, it's a bit like it's a phrase which is being beamed into the mind, really, to try to get you to believe it. So the way to deal with it is just to look at it from your infinite impersonal nature, because it's only ever impersonal awareness which knows anything. So there is impersonal awareness of the body mind, impersonal awareness of the thoughts, impersonal awareness of emotions. And so if an invitation comes in like that, really it's just a matter of changing the language and saying, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of a thought of not being worthy. And if you use impersonal language in that way, then you're not connecting your energy stream through personalization to that idea. So you can't enter into it. It's more like a cloud floating across the sky rather than something you're believing to be true.
Yeah. It just hit me, because even though I say the body is feeling this, there's still some kind of, I'm feeling it, not there's awareness
Yes.
of this feeling, because it's like their body, even though it's a little bit impersonal, because I'm not saying even my body is feeling, it's like their body is feeling this or that.
Yes.
There's still some, like, I just felt it, like I'm trying to take a step back, or I'm conscious of trying to step back, yet I'm holding it,
Right.
the feeling.
Yes.
So, wow.
Well, that's the
Wow.
conclusion, because everything in this world has told you that you are existing as Mon, and the body mind is what you are. But actually, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of the body mind. The awareness whatsoever the body mind is impersonal. So it's only that we've been deceived really into personalizing it and saying, "Oh, I am the body." But if you look directly, you see, well, actually, there is simply impersonal. There is impersonal awareness of the body mind, and you could, you can actually see your true infinite nature in that way as well. So, say you use the words, there is infinite, impersonal, timeless awareness of infinite, impersonal, timeless being, because that's really awareness knowing its true nature, because it's really that we only ever know our infinite nature. That's all we're ever knowing. It's just that we're playing a little game of hide and seek by pretending that there's this personalized realm. And we can activate that through the language we use. It's mainly the language which does that. And that's how it was installed. It was installed by the use of language from family and, friends and education and whatever. But it's great you've seen it in that way, that you've seen actually that it's impersonal, effortless, timeless awareness that is aware of the body mind.
Yeah. It's funny, because I'm Mexican, and I on my day to day I talk Spanish. And when I started to have this awareness,
Mm-hmm.
the language became English.
Wow.
So, like, spiritual thoughts come in, like English.
Mm.
And it's so funny because sometimes I can see the difference, because, the mind, the ego is talking in Spanish. And it's kind of, I'm saying this because it's kind of uh, hard to translate
Yes.
there's awareness
Mm.
of of infinite being. For
Yes.
example, there's awareness of infinite being, and there's awareness of love. It's kind of a little bit hard, but I think I can I can manage.
Well, it's quite easy in a way. You're lucky because you can use Spanish as the language of personalization and English as the language of impersonal being. And it makes it easy because you can just revert to impersonal being, and there's no need for translation then. And it's because they're the two modes available, because if you meet with your friends or family, then the conversation is in Spanish, but then the inner dialogue, in actually just recognizing that you're resting as the infinite, impersonal, timeless, effortless being, you can just use English for that. So it's quite nice in a way to have the two modes.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that, but yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
It's great that you have the clarity though, and you're doing really well to be able to see the emergence of the invitations, but then also to change the language and to be able to see that it's mainly in the language that the identification and personalization takes place, because everyone we've ever spoken with has been using that personalized language. But then you have this other form of language which is impersonal, and you can just remain, it just keeps you in your infinite nature.
yeah,
And the personal realm is really nice as well. There are things about it, all of the things you enjoy in your friendships and relationships is all absolutely fine. And it isn't that they disappear. It's really only that the distinction between impersonal being, which is the foundation, that's what's always there, that's what is true. And then there's the character existing in the personalized realm, which you can play that role and you can enjoy playing that role. But
yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted.
no, carry on.
It's just like I go in and out, like when I'm with myself and in my home, or alone in the streets, just, oh, I'm going to take myself to the park, and then just sitting there and observing, and, just being there.
Mm.
I am, there's awareness of me being the infinite being.
Mm. Fantastic.
When I talk to someone, it doesn't matter if it's a call or text or in person or whatever. It's like there's this feeling of, ooh, I'm going to,
Yeah, to step into
like
personalization.
if I were moving, forward to grab something,
Yes,
and then it's like I can leave it alone.
yes.
It's I don't know why there's this movement, but it feels like this, like I there's this step back
Mm.
in the infinite being, and then there's this I'm grabbing the person and grab.
Yes. Well, this is the distinction between effortless being and the effort required in the personal mode of experience. Because if you're alone, then there is just the effortlessness of being, and it's just really simple and completely effortless. But then if somebody knocks your door, or if the phone rings, or there's a message to reply to, then you kind of step into the personal mode. The thing to know, though, it seems as though you're kind of stepping in and out, but in reality, you're not. You're just remaining as the infinite impersonal being. It's just that the mode is slightly different. It's similar to the analogy of the actor and the character in the play. So in this instance, the actor, one could say, is the infinite, effortless, impersonal, timeless being, which you always remain as. But then the actor can play the role. So it's playing the role of Mon. And so even when the impersonal being is playing the role of Mon, it doesn't stop being the infinite impersonal being. It's just that it's the infinite impersonal being in this role. In the same way as, an actor, even if he's playing the character really convincingly, he doesn't actually become the character. He's still always the actor. So you could say
Yeah.
you're kind of in role. You're in the role of the character, but you never become it. And what you'll find, I think, there is a process where it's becoming easier and easier, because gradually you find that even entering into conversations, or spending time with people, the impersonal aspect is still available, and you can actually decide, to the degree in which you engage. It's possible just to remain most of the time as effortless impersonal being, and then the mode is just available if you need it. But most of it can come from your impersonal nature, and that it becomes more and more easy to do that.
If there is a degree, how do you like tune in or tune out in the degrees of,
Right. Well,
yeah.
if you look at the dualistic realm, so the mental, emotional, and physical realms are part of the same dualistic construct. So they tend to, well, they're dependent on the conditioning we've had. So sometimes the conditioning and identification is very deep. It's like deeply ingrained. But you find that you can just dismantle or dissolve that just by kind of looking at the structures and the way they operate. So it may be that there are certain people who invite that more. Quite often it's with family and friends, because like with your family, they would just see you as being this lady. They wouldn't realize what you truly are. But it's something which it's like an energetic thing, because the more familiar you become with resting as effortless being, then there tends to be more of a gravitation towards infinite bliss, rather than stepping into the personal mode or into the mental realm. And so even the space you live in, with the works of art, that's a kind of demonstration that is what's been happening, really, because the gravitation towards things of beauty, things you love, they're taking you in the direction of bliss much more. And so there's already this process of favoring love and bliss and infinite possibilities, rather than going into the limitations of the mind again. So you kind of you
Yeah.
just kind of feel that. You just feel it just you, because once you discover effortless being and you know that it's always there, then it's something which is available, and you find that it can be maintained more and more. So and it's just that you favor those experiences over the personal realm. So things like, you may have friends who have a kind of dramatic interpretation of their experience, and it's very personalized. Generally, you can sort of handle those relationships, but you wouldn't necessarily want to spend all your time with those people, because it's quite an intense experience, because they're kind of bombarding you with their preoccupation with the personal realm. So you probably love being alone, and then resting as effortless being means that when you do interact with people that you love, then it's as though your batteries are fully charged, and you can have those experiences in the personal realm, and they don't drain you. You can just enjoy them. You can enjoy the contrast of them, but actually know that effortless being is always there.
Okay. And Is there a moment in which invitations stop arising? You know?
Well, the way they can stop is when we cease to take delivery of them. So if we take the example of, say, an invitation which is saying, I'm not worthy, then it's realizing that those invitations are designed to put you into personalization and limitation. So it just makes a lot of sense not to take delivery of them. So as they're delivered, it becomes very easy to decline them. And then, because you know they're not true, you know, because anything, the truth is, because you're the infinite, omnipotent, omnipresent, timeless being, that's what the only thing you can ever be. So why would you possibly believe a thought that you're not worthy, or that you're not deserving, or that there's something wrong with you? That's obviously coming from a source which isn't from your infinite nature. So it's good to see the way they're delivered, and then it becomes very easy to disregard them, because you might have a friend, for instance, and the friend says, oh, you're not very beautiful. But you're beautiful. You don't need your friend to tell you whether you are or not. So you know that there's an agenda there. They're sometimes wanting to say something to try to limit you in some way. And that's how the mind works. The mind is trying to put us in a state of limitation. And so when you know the agenda of the mind, which is to put us into mental and emotional compromise, that's one aspect of the mind, then it becomes very easy not to believe those thoughts. So they become easy to detect as they come in, because there are actually three main ways the mind works. So the main one, which is operating for you fully, is where there is alignment with your infinite nature. So that's where things like intuition, inspiration, telepathy, synchronicity, expansion, all of those qualities are coming from your infinite nature. Anything that's expansive. Things which are designed to put you into personalization and limitation, so things which are telling you that you're not worthy, or you're not good enough, or anything along these lines, is coming from the dualistic source. So gradually you just realize that system doesn't have your best interests at heart. So you can just begin to disregard it, and that's how the invitations fall away. It's just that it's like someone trying to sell something to you that you don't want to buy. Like if you take the thought, I'm not worthy, that's a thought that there's no reason to buy that, because it isn't true. It doesn't serve you. There are energetic implications if you take delivery of that and believe it. So when it's kind of delivered as an invitation, it's very easy to say, well, no, thank you. That isn't something I wish to experience. And then as you do that, the invitations diminish, because they're not having the effect that they're designed for, which is to put you into emotional compromise. And so you find that once you just become really clear on that, they stop being delivered anyway. But you could say that there is, in a sort of bigger picture, the Indian version is that we're living in an age which they call Kali Yuga. And in Gnosticism, they say that this dualistic source of intelligence is designed to put us into mental and emotional compromise. So there will be a point at which it just stops completely, and that delivery system just breaks down so that it's no longer delivering anything along those lines. But that isn't something you need to wait for, because you can already implement that immediately. You can just get really clear that anything that is designed to create a feeling of limitation and to affect you energetically is something not to take delivery of.
Okay. And just by saying, no, I'm not that, and resting in being is enough?
Well, it is, yeah. Initially, I say about declining the invitations, and so initially you can change the language to impersonal language. So, if there's a particular thought being delivered, it's just a matter of saying, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of this invitation. But after a while, you don't even need to do that, because the invitation comes in and you just know you don't want to buy it anyway. So it's a bit like walking around a market, and the guy's shouting to try to get you to buy some apples, and you've already got some apples. You don't need to buy any more. So you just don't really take any notice of them. You don't need to say, oh, there's infinite effortless awareness of an invitation to buy apples.
Yeah. And then you're just aware of it, and that's it.
That's all that's required.
I can see where there has been misleading energy in
Okay.
here. Like there's the market, and there's the awareness of thoughts and feelings, and there has been this energy of, oh, that's true. And I'm like, no, that's not true, but there's still some kind of engagement with
Yes.
it, because
Mm.
no, it's not true. Let's go over there. And
Yes.
it's like, no, it's true. It's true. And drama and the
Yeah.
trauma and whatever is happening. And I'm like, no, let's put the attention over there. There's more fun. No,
Yes.
that I can see that, because it's like I am feeling my energy. I am giving it
Yes.
to it. It's still with being clear
Yes.
of being infinite being and being conscious and aware. I wasn't aware of how there was this energy of, like still engaging with it, because if there's this, I'm going to prove that I'm worthy, and I'm going to do this or that, so that there's no more awareness of worth unworthiness or whatever. There's some kind of engaging,
Yes.
like I'm not that clear, because there's this, yeah, it may be true, and I have to do this.
Yeah.
So I hope I explain whatever.
That's very good. That's a really good explanation, because you don't need to justify anything really. You don't need to prove anything, because when you know it, when you know that you're the sovereign being. So the sovereign being is like somebody, using the analogy of the market, that the sovereign being, has his wallet or purse in his pocket and he's walking around the market and he can buy anything, but he doesn't need to engage with anybody in particular. If the guy, comes along to try to sell him some potatoes or something, you don't need to get into a dialogue with the guy saying, well, actually, I don't want to buy your potatoes. You just keep walking. And it's like that with the invitations, really. It's like there are lots of invitations being delivered all the time. We don't need to take heed of them. We just keep walking.
Yeah. It's like just what I knew to, you know?
Just to simplify everything.
Yeah. There was this, but it's subtle energy. Maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, or I can see what I'm doing, why it's happening over and over and over. And there's like, um, you know, but there wasn't this awareness of how there wasn't this awareness of how there was this energy fueling the thing. But now there is awareness.
Great.
And it's so simple. So, so simple. I overlooked it. And there's this mix on between the personal and impersonal language. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow. It's-
You're so lucky to have realized this while you're still so young, because, for many people, there are spiritual practices and things which go on for years. And it's great that you've been guided so easily, really, into this clarity. But it's because the clarity was already there.
Yeah. Yes. Fully. Like in this apparent journey, I have seen how, like, an insight comes in, and then there's this, I'm in stillness with it and trying to not analyze it, not think it, mm, like just be with it,
Yes.
the inside. And then memories start to flush down, like, yeah. And you know, like there's a voice saying, that is true because in this moment and that moment and that, and like all the flashbacks, and it's like, oh yeah, I have always been there. I
Yes.
wasn't aware, but I was,
Yes.
and there's this, then there's this like relaxation of the whole body. Yeah. 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 There was this worriness
Mm.
uh, before the call of how can I um discern distinguish between truly declining an invitation or engaging with it. And like, I hope I can get it, because um months after I had that experience in meditation, I was like, I need to share this and I need to talk about this. And everyone has the right to know who they really are, and the world will be a better place. And Imagine from Lennon, and the world will be beautiful. And I want to give something to the world. And I have been slowly in the pace I move with that. Like, I know I want it, but I'm careful and too much personal things, like
That's really good because
maybe I'm not ready, and maybe I'm this, and maybe, but then I can see clearly, like really clearly now, that even though there was this awareness of being, of truth and beauty and love and safety and perfection and all these beautiful kind of attributes of being, there was still some engagement with the person around, and like taking it too personal
Hmm.
still.
Fantastic. Well, you will find that people will approach you and people will, arrive and you can share this knowledge with them. But it it isn't something you can make happen. It's something which happens to you, really. And that's the difference. So it's just being easy because it's all coming from effortless being. So we can't use effort to initiate anything. But you have amazing clarity, and your description is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's this awareness of uh that the people I get to help,
Mm.
and the people I get to share this with, they are just going to arrive.
Yeah.
You know, I just need to be open and willing
Yes.
to to be that space for them,
Yeah.
you know?
Fantastic. Mm.
Yeah. There's even with manifestation, there's nothing I need to do.
Mm.
Like really, there's nothing the person around nor in the impersonal. There's nothing I can do to make something happen.
No.
It just happens.
Mm.
If there's something to do, it's just to be clear,
Mm.
you know? Yeah,
Mm.
I want, whatever. I want some coffee right now. And
Mm.
yeah, yeah, thank you, God, thank you, presence.
Mm.
And that's it.
Mm.
I want to tell you something.
Mhm.
Hearing this conversation, I have seen a white light all around you, like a beautiful white, white, the whitest light, the whitest white ever light all around you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for helping this being to see more clearly. And then with clarity, there's no questions, no, nothing but peace.
Fantastic.
Yeah.